John Husar. Cartoonists seem to have the ability to say what people are thinking, and when I really want to know how I'm going, I read the cartoonists. Paul Clarke went out to discover if cartooning is art or just cheap shots.
This month, every try art form in the New South Wales State Library galleries. The humble newspaper cartoon is being exhibited on a wall like its fine art cousins. And cartoonists around Australia are taking this opportunity to say, look at us, we are artists, don't treat us like journalists.
The average life expectancy of a cartoon is about 3 seconds.
I don't think anyone could deny that it's not art.
I think cartooning you have to respect a little bit like the sea.
The characters have to be believable.
A good caricaturist has got to make a face live.
As Patrick Cook said, the best that can happen to a cartoon is someone's going to cut it out of the newspaper and stick it on the fridge with a magnet. And that's like the cartoonist's equivalent of being hung in the Louvre.
While some artists can labour over a canvas for over a year or more trying to fulfil some chaotic vision of life, art, sex or death, the cartoonist's toil for truth is rather more concentrated.
Here I do a lot of the daily editorial illustrations, so I'm doing it, maybe I'll learn about it at 4 o'clock and have it done by about 8:30. And the sort of style I've got, I do pretty easily recognisable caricatures. It's not too far over to the, right-wing, sort of far-out sort of illustration. So I can represent the person doing something that they haven't been caught on camera doing, or, dressed in drag, or, at the beach. So I'm in a position that's quite unique.
It's only occasionally that it really gets too much and you want to jump over the nearest cliff. The suicidal tendencies don't come up too often, thank God.
This pathological fear of the deadline can lead to the cartoonist's ultimate fear.
Sometimes you'll find that it's 7 o'clock and you're still sitting there, glum-faced, waiting for an idea to just materialise in your head.
People actually expect you to be funny every day, and quite often you feel far from it.
The cartooning occupation is fraught with all sorts of dangers, of course, and is actually very stressful. It is interesting that we have had a tradition in Australia of people who have sort of crossed over, blurred the edges, if you like, of what one normally considers art and what one normally considers to be cartooning or illustration. Yeah, there's always this funny thing in Australia, that if it is a cartoon, it just can't be considered to be art or good drawing. It's nonsense, of course. I don't think there'd be too many French people who'd argue that Dormier was not an artist, for example. Or someone like George Grosz in Germany, who was probably the most influential caricaturist of this century. Rarely here ever referred to as a caricaturist, because he's been stuck in the books with the artists.
You have to find it in here. That's where it is. And George Orwell was right. He said, I never met a man worse than I am. That means he can write about anybody, doesn't it? I mean, because the evil that dwells within us, we keep under control, but it's there. Nobody understood or even believed. Matisse lived long enough to find out, and Picasso, of course, did too, to find out that his stuff was worthy and he became rich. But you might say that the Impressionists were an art form that became a business. And we were a business that became an art form.
The challenge is for people to go to the State Library, see the exhibition, and look at the work in a new light, because you see the stuff in the paper, but seeing it on the wall, you look at it as artwork, you look at the techniques and you say, gee, that's clever.
In print, this